kind of a strange kid. I was highly intuitive, empathic. I didn't know at the time what that meant. I didn't understand that I was attuned to other people's emotions. So I often would see, sense, and feel experiences that I had no conscious awareness of. I just seemed to say things and they would have meaning, or they would sort of come about a little bit later when information would come forward and somebody would say, how did you know that? Who told you? But I never really had any source for this knowledge or knowing. It was just something that kind of came to me and through me, which was often very confusing as a child, being intuitive, but not really understanding it, not necessarily having people who could nurture that. And so that created tension. It created confusion. And as a kid, it also led me to feel really uncertain about the world, the environment I was in, the experiences I was having. So what I would do is retreat to the woods. I spent a lot of time in the woods. And one of the things that I would do to kind of decompress and to let go of all this confusion and all these difficult feelings and emotions is I would play these games in the woods. And the one game that I would come back to over and over again is turning these stones. I would like kind of dig and want to uplift the stone and see what was underneath there. And I noticed this really strange sensation. On one hand, there was this magical feeling of what's under there? What am I going to discover? What am I going to find? But at the same time, there was this tension of fear. What am I going to find? What else could be under there? And these two sort of oppositional experiences of possible magic and possibly something scary seemed to really captivate me. And a lot of the things that I had interest in, movies, literature, fairy tales, stories, a lot of them had that tension. I didn't know it at the time, but I was drawn to these things. And so I learned to navigate the world by reading these stories, resonating with the protagonist, whether it's Little Red Riding Hood or Vasilisa and Vasilisa the Beautiful. And there was something about these stories that allowed me to recognize patterns in my own life. They gave solutions. They had this magical and enchanting sort of quality where the natural world was alive. And that really resonated deeply for me because I felt that way in the woods. It was like everything was alive, nature, the earth, the elements. And so I spent many years in that place of asking questions like, who am I? Why do I feel these things? Why do I sense them? Why do other people around me not seem to have that same type of connection? This led me into a really dark period of my life where some of us might say we veered off the path. We just got involved with the wrong people, the wrong things. But ultimately, what I've learned is that I was a seeker. I was trying to understand myself. I was trying to understand this sense of not fitting in and not belonging. And before I discovered that that was actually a gift and a blessing, I had to really make peace with this part of me that felt like there was something wrong with me, that there was something maybe broken. And that's really what propelled me into the work. I started to attract mentors and teachers. I started to notice I was just led to different meditations, schools of thought. And I followed that, just sort of like the breadcrumbs that we have on the path. If we pay attention to these synchronistic moments. And I did that. I was like, there's got to be something to this, even though it didn't feel very comforting or soothing to have that level of intuition and depth. I felt like there's got to be a reason or a purpose. And ultimately, it really did lead me into the work that I do today. Because even though I'm not necessarily in the woods flipping stones and those kind of things anymore, I do see my work as really working with other people's psyches in that way, that same type of curiosity. Like, I wonder what's underneath this.